Hello, my name is Marianela Caballero, and I am going to be talking about stress management with working with high school students. So, talking about 14 to 18 years old. I'm going to be sharing my screen, so give me a second while I switch to that. Okay. So, when it comes to managing stress, I have been working with adolescents. I think that's been the biggest population that I've been working with since I started my private practice. And it tends to be the population that is very close to my heart. So I love working with adolescents. And this time of COVID has brought so many kids into states of depression and anxiety as a result of the stress that they've been undergoing with school, disconnection with friends, and I'm going to be talking a lot about that. So one of the things that I always like to point out is, how do you know if you're stressed, depressed, anxious? You need to start learning the different signs within yourself. So a lot of what I present is, how are you going to be more self-aware about what's going on with you? I mean, you want to be able to know, how do you react? Is this normal? Is it not normal? Is this like teenage regular stuff, or is it not? And I really want you to be able to identify that within yourself and even your peers, right? A lot of us need to connect to our peers about, like, hey, there's something that's going on, or I've noticed these different changes or signs. And it would be so helpful if you were able to identify the signs within yourself and with your close loved ones. So sleep disruption tends to be one of the most common signs that I hear. And when it comes to your age group, it tends to be not sleeping enough. So when I'm talking about sleep disruption, it's more of like you're getting little bursts of sleep. So you fall asleep, let's say at 12 midnight, right? Let's get real, because during COVID, I don't think anybody sleeps before 12 midnight, but anyways. So 12, and then you wake up at 3, and then you stay up for an hour, and then you go back to sleep, and then you end up like waking up at like 12 o'clock in the afternoon. That is not normal. So sleep disruption is when you are unable to sleep for a period of 8 to 9 hours uninterrupted. So a lot of us, most of you, right, adolescents and adults, and I'm going to include myself in it, we have our phone right next to us. So if it vibrates or if it dings or whatever, we wake up and we check our phone, or we check, if we got a notification or whatever. So that's already a sleep disruption. Nightmares tend to be very common with people who are under a lot of stress. Eating too much or not enough. So I've seen both. I think a lot of the times, the idle time, the boredom, sitting in front of a computer and just eating and not even feeling hunger, but you're eating. So the stressful coping mechanisms for a lot of people is finding comfort. So we find comfort in food. And so what do? So we're constantly consuming something to make us feel good. Some people don't have an appetite when they're stressed. So I find both extremes, but it's not like normal eating, or like, oh, one day you ate a lot and the other day you don't. No, I'm talking about more consistently poor eating patterns. Feeling physically exhausted all day. So a lot of the times I see kids, because right now I'm doing a lot of virtual therapy, and I'm seeing them and they look so exhausted. And I'm like, oh my gosh, did you not sleep well? Sometimes they slept their uninterrupted amount of hours, but they report still feeling tired and exhausted. The computer and being in front of the computer for an extended amount of time during your day, and then you're connecting on your phone, and then you have your tablet or your Xbox, and you're constantly engaged in all of this different stimulation, it is going to affect you. You are going to be physically drained, even though you probably haven't been, working out or running or doing anything, but it's really draining for the body to be engaging in that kind of activity. So then you're going to have muscle aches and pains, because all you're doing is sitting down and you're not having a lot of movement. And then the sleep will also affect your muscle aches and pains. So if you're having the nightmares, you're not sleeping well, and then you're constantly moving, you're going to feel a lot of pain in your shoulder area, in your neck, and in your lower back. Lots of gastrointestinal issues, which is related to the eating pattern. So it depends on what you're eating and how much you're eating. So be really careful about what's going on with your eating habits. Headaches, I contribute to stress, right? So during the times of COVID, so many of you are on the computer constantly. And so you're going to have a lot of headaches. You're on your phone constantly. And then if you're feeling stressed with just, I haven't seen my friends, I haven't been able to play sports, I'm worrying about school and grades, and it's just a lot for us. So we get frequent headaches. Explosive anger. Now, let's get real. A lot of us, when we're teenagers, and I remember I was a teenager once, and you do have a lot of mood swings. So what I'm talking about is more extensive to that. So what I'm talking about, it's more constant, it's more frequent, almost on a daily basis. The explosions are then, family members are then complaining about your anger, that it could be scary, maybe to younger siblings. So explosive anger is not just a mood swing, like a typical teenage mood swing. I'm talking about something that's really uncharacteristic, like for you. So irritability, yeah, moody, don't talk to me. So a lot of the kids that I've been working with are so stressed out and annoyed, by their parents and by their siblings, that they prefer to be alone. They prefer to be in their room. And then you're spending so much time alone in your room, isolated, that when you finally go out and talk to them, your tolerance level has now diminished even more. So now everything they do is annoying. I heard that so many times. They're thinking like, oh my gosh, like just listening to them. I've had kids tell me like, my mom is so annoying. And I'm like, well, what does your mom do? And they're like, well, nothing really, but she's just talking to me and she's so annoying. So your tolerance level starts to diminish because you're so isolated and you're irritable. And then you have your mood swings. So that withdrawn behavior of isolating yourself can be counterproductive, which means you're actually creating worse mood swings. So the more isolated you are, door closed, don't bother me, waking up at like 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, staying up late all night long, all of those are contributing to your stress levels and your mood swings. So again, that goes with avoiding family reunions. Engaging less with friends is major. So I've had a lot of kids that at the beginning of the pandemic, they would get together like on Zoom or, Google Meet, and that stopped. So they just don't engage because probably it's like, what are we going to talk about? Like, we're not doing very much. Substance abuse. I put this in there, and I think a lot of adults will be shocked that I put this in there for adolescents, but I'm hearing a lot of kids who are taking Benadryl when they shouldn't be taking Benadryl. They're just experimenting with marijuana. You're engaging in any type of Juul or alcohol, whatever is around your house. And again, most of your parents are asleep while you guys are awake. So that leads to a lot of idle time and thinking about stuff. And you're wanting to settle these emotions that you have within your body. And so you resort to substance use. So negative attitudes, the inability to think clearly, you can't concentrate, you're easily distracted, which is probably you're on a Zoom with your teacher while playing, Madden on the TV, or maybe, something else is going on your phone. So you have a difficulty following a conversation because you're not really paying attention because your mind is elsewhere. And then we're talking about depressed mood, anxious feelings, and then of course a drop in grades. So what can you do, right? This is a, important part of the presentation. Take frequent breaks from social media. A lot of you are constantly being connected to TikTok, Snapchat, whatever, Instagram, and you're constantly being fed a lot of information. Sometimes it's not even accurate information, but it's being bombarded constantly. Take a break from social media. I've had kids who actually took it off their phone just so they won't have the notifications constantly telling them to kind of, hey, I'm here. and they would only check it on their laptop, which is not very common and not easily to access. So that's a technique. For me, it's just do it like in different times, like maybe in the morning when you wake up, and probably when you're having lunch sometime in the afternoon, and then in the evening, a few, like an hour or two before you go to bed. But like, how many notifications can you possibly get, like within a minute or within an hour? Take those breaks, get moving, be active, stay physically active. One of the most important things that so much has been going on during this pandemic, and a lot of people stopped exercising because you're not moving, you're not going to school, you're not walking. So all of the stress is just building in your body, and it's staying in your muscles. It needs to get out of your body. And the only way to do that is through movement. So engage in some kind of physical activity. Connect with people you trust. So do talk to them, not texting, not messaging, and not little voice messages. No, an actual conversation. Because I've had, again, so many kids tell me that they're having a hard time expressing their feelings because they're not used to this conversation anymore. They used to have it in school when you would be going and having and meeting with your friends, but all of a sudden it stopped. And you don't even know how to carry a conversation anymore because you're out of practice. Practice engaging in that, even if it's through a FaceTime or through Zoom or, again, Google Meet or whatever it is that you prefer to do, but connect. Schedule mental breaks. Mental breaks for me can be anything from journaling, coloring of any sort. It could be crossword puzzles, I don't know, Lego building, whatever, like any kind of mental breaks, so long as it's not with electronics. So notice that none of those examples had electronics. Disconnect. Get your 8 to 9 hours of sleep uninterrupted, which means put your phone on vibrate or silent and you can like lock out certain hours. Realistically speaking, for a lot of the teens, what I tell them is I say from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m., zero notifications should be coming to your phone. There's no reason. You should be asleep. I usually encourage 12 to 6 a.m., but whatever it is your preference. But lock out certain hours so that you will not be interrupting, getting a vibration, getting a notification, getting a little ding, or anything like that to wake you up and check, because that is not getting healthy sleep. Following a healthy diet. I don't mean Dr. Pepper and a Snickers bar or Takis or whatever it is that you're doing for breakfast. No. The worse that you eat, the more likely that your symptoms will worsen. So high caffeinated foods, high sugar foods, and high processed foods. So burgers and fries and hot dogs and pizza. It's good every once in a while. You get your teenagers and that's okay. But if it's constantly eating like that throughout the day, your symptoms of stress will worsen and you'll have higher chances of getting anxiety and depression. Meditate or pray during the day. You can do this using different apps, which I'm going to show you in a little bit. Meditation is just simply, again, a disconnect. I already talked about journaling and writing down. Mindfulness, being able to stay in the present and just being in tune with your senses, listening to music. I put down create playlists that are going to encourage and foster positive energy and positive moods. Going for a walk outside, so you're smelling your environment, you're listening to the birds, you're hearing the wind, you're feeling the wind. All of those things are opportunities to practice mindfulness. It helps you to stay in the present, to think about right now at this moment, instead of worrying about finals or worrying about research paper or worrying about a breakup or a friendship. Whatever is consuming your brain, it helps you just to stay calm and to stay in the moment. And I always suggest drinking tea. Drinking tea for me is, again, very sensorial. You're tasting it, you're feeling the warmth, you're smelling it, and then when you drink it, it's such a good thing. So a lot of you like to drink coffee. That's okay if you do it, every once in a while. That's a good mindfulness activity. And then you can actually read a book or do something. a book, like actual paper, not on your tablet or anything. And a vision board. So one of the best parts, or one of the things that I have encouraged so many of my clients, my kids, I call them, to do is to create a vision board. And it's a visual. So you have like a poster board and you start putting out like, what do you see yourself like? What kind of a house do you want to have? What kind of a car do you want to drive? How much money do you want to make? Where do you want to travel? What college do you want to go to? What profession do you want to have? Do you want to marry? Do you not want to marry? Do you want to have kids? And when you create this using images, so you'll have your poster board and you'll cut out like different actors who are, you know, perhaps like maybe people that you look up to, athletes that you look up to, famous authors or artists that you identify with, who are role modeling something that you want in your life, and you stick it up in your room where you can see it constantly. It starts giving you a sense of hope. And so that lightens it, and you're thinking, okay, this is temporary, which it's temporary. COVID is temporary. This pandemic is temporary. And then you start thinking about your future. And that's something that's so encouraging. So here are the 12 free apps you can try. A lot of you like to stay connected in some way. So those are the different apps. They're different things about mindfulness, meditation, listening to like the waves or the rain or like a river. And so you kind of have to play with the different apps, you know, download 2, test them out and see if you like them. And then you can, you know, take them out. Some of them are breathing strategies. So teaching you how to take a really good deep breath in your diaphragm that expands your diaphragm. And then you exhale. And automatically, if you do 2 deep breaths throughout the day, like in the morning and even like every couple of hours, it realistically, physiologically reacts immediately. And a lot of people think like, oh, deep breathing, whatever. Like I hear it all the time. But people think a deep breath is like this. No, that's not a deep breath. A deep breath is truly inhaling in, expanding your chest and letting it sit there, and then letting it out, so that your rib cage then contracts. That is a deep breath. And if you do it, your body is slowing down, your heart rate starts to slow down, and you immediately feel relaxed in your shoulders. You need to give it a try. So Breathe to Relax has that, and I think 7 Cups, Stop, Breathe, and Think. Those are the apps that help teach you a lot of those skills. So talk to your parents if you are worried about things when things are really serious, when you're feeling hopeless, when you're having those thoughts of like, I want to go to sleep and not wake up. I hear that a lot. When you're feeling that you want to do something, but you physically can't, so there's a disruption in your daily routine, you feel disconnected, you feel like you don't want to wake up in the morning, or you're feeling like you cannot calm yourself down and your heart is constantly pounding and you're worried about everything, and you're just really having a hard time just disconnecting and having those mindfulness activities or staying present, please seek help. If people around you are making a lot of comments about changes that they see in you, that's not normal. Sometimes other people are going to notice your changes before you do. Please talk to somebody, talk to a friend, talk to a parent, talk to an aunt, an uncle, an older cousin, an older sibling, somebody. And for you to get the help that you need, you really need to speak to a trusted adult. So that trusted adult will then be able to help you. But do not keep it quiet, because it'll build up and you're going to find yourself in a really bad situation. So please say something when things are just not working out for you and you're just feeling like a completely different person. So thank you so much. All of this information is going to be available to you so that you can always review it. And I appreciate your time. Hopefully this was helpful to all of you. Thank you so much.